Wow, this is an amazing place. Everything looks so perfect. Even the grass looks like it's perfectly manicured.
It does, Ash. It's one of my favorite spots in Singapore. It's always looking perfect. But can you imagine how stressful it must be for the people who are working all year round to make it look so perfect?
Hey, you want to get in the shade? Speaking of stress, Answer, you're looking a little stressed today. Everything okay?
No, Ash. Quite stressed actually. Last week was really painful. And the coming one isn't looking any better. It's coming with a whole host of deadlines.
Stay on the horse, man. Things will pick up soon, I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm sure I'll get through this deadline one way or the other. But then it's a constant flow. There'll be another deadline and another one after that. Just last week was a killer. I mean, first the quarterly business review, followed by a product launch. I just feel the only constant is this unrelenting pressure to perform. I wonder how long I can sustain this pace. I really need to slow down a bit. I'm tired of this constant feeling of being in a pressure cooker. I've not been able to spend time with the kids lately.
Speaking of the kids, how are they?
Oh man, don't even get me started. They must be stressed too. Can you believe their schedule is more hectic than mine? Every day they're rushing from school off to their sports club, then taekwondo or piano, some activity. I can only imagine the stress they must be feeling. They're only kids, man. Why do we need to give them so much stress?
Stress is unavoidable. Actually, it's a natural part of life. And it's vital for growth.
Ash, don't go all zen on me, man.
Well, I don't mean to stress you out further. When was the last time that you were at the gym?
Been too long. Can't you tell? I don't even get enough time to sleep. How do you expect me to make time for the gym?
But you remember how it felt pumping iron, right? I'm talking about feeling that burn when you're pushing past that extra rep, and then that satisfying ache in the body the next morning. You see, when we work out in the gym, we're putting our muscles under stress and we push them past their limits, causing the fibers to break. And when they heal, they grow stronger. So stress is key for growth.
I get that physical stress makes you stronger. But that's physical. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about mental and emotional stress. Surely that's bad.
Actually, the mechanisms are the same. Our brains work very much like muscles. The more we use it, the stronger it gets. In fact, research is showing that stress affects our brains in a positive way. It's key for peak performance. And it does that by enhancing our attention, gives us energy, and enhancing our memory.
Okay.
Imagine you're a caveman walking home on a familiar path. When you suddenly hear a growl in the bush ahead, the stress you feel then will be 100 times whatever modern life can throw at you. But this same stress will heighten your alertness, will give you a burst of energy to fight or flight. And if you somehow survive, this stress will etch in your memory this episode so deeply that you will never walk along a similar path so carelessly again. So you see, stress helps our brains achieve peak performance by focusing our attention, fueling our response, and logging that experience as wisdom.
But I read that chronic stress causes heart attacks, even diabetes. That can't be good.
That's true, but the key word is chronic. Stress only becomes chronic when it's experienced at a high level over a prolonged period of time. So the trick is not to avoid stress, but to prevent it from becoming chronic.
And how do you do that?
Well, first of all, you just have to be aware that you're experiencing stress. The act of being aware of the stress somehow unlocks the grip that stress has on you. It's similar like when you shine a torch on a shadow.
It's easier said than done. When I'm stressed, I'm often the last person to realize it. I realize I'm stressed when I hear myself raising my voice and yelling.
Yeah. It's easier to pick up the stress in others than in ourselves.
You know, I can always tell when my daughter is stressed. Her brows tighten and her tone of voice deepens a little. Now that you mention it, I notice that my brows tighten when I'm tense too. And I get most edgy when I feel I'm running out of time.
Nice. The feeling that you don't have enough time is a very common cause of stress. But what can you do differently so that you don't feel crushed for time?
That's an easy one. I tend to procrastinate often, especially on the dull and mundane tasks. And then invariably I end up rushing in the last minute. But you know what? Sometimes I do need that push for a looming deadline to get me off my butt and get the creative juices flowing.
I bet you do your best work under stress.
Yeah, now that you mention it, I do begin to see the link between stress and peak performance.
But there's one more thing that you need to know about how to avoid stress from becoming chronic.
Tell me.
We need to know what we can do to de-stress. For some, it's music. For others, it's exercise. For me, it's hanging out with a friend.
Yeah, just last night, I remember my daughter was playing the piano quite late and it annoyed me then. But now that I think of it, she must be just trying to relieve her stress. Exams are around the corner and she must be feeling the pressure to perform.
It's amazing how self-aware she is and that she's found her own ways to de-stress. I don't think you need to worry about this one.
Yeah, she makes us very proud. So if we want our kids to be the best that they can be, we can't always guarantee to get all the stress out of their lives. But what we can do is to help them get better at realizing the stress that they're feeling, become aware of it, and then to just help them find their own ways to unwind.
Most importantly, we need to help them reframe their view of stress from something negative to seeing stress as a natural response that will help them get to their best. Something like a friend who can help you become stronger and wiser.
Do you know what stresses your children the most?
If not, the next time they're having a meltdown or they're acting out, try to hold back your impulse to yell at them and tell them off. Instead, see if you can identify the signs of stress and uncover their triggers.
Share with us your stories.